Alright, pretty quick I throw a cylinder clean up the surface. So now I don't have much slip or throwing mark on the surface. And I'm going to use this tool to scrape some texture on the surface. I will leave about inch and a half or 2 inches without putting the texture, because when I'm brushing the sodium silicate, I will leave this part alone without putting any sodium silicate, so I'll have some room to close the top. If I have the sodium silicate here, it's going to affect my throwing later, so that's why I don't put my texture here or my sodium silicate on the spot here. So this is sodium silicate. It's in liquid form. If you find the sodium silicate is too dry, you can add a little bit of water to it. If you find there's some drip on your bed, you might want to wipe it up now. Once it's dried, it's harder to clean it up. So wipe it up when it's still wet. And then I'm gonna bring my heat gun to heat it up. So usually, if you are using torch or heat gun, this is like the maximum heat is 550 degrees. It's very hot, so you want to do more than like 2 minutes. If you are using a hair dryer, maybe you can do a little bit longer, but this heat gun is very hot, so you don't over dry it. Otherwise, over dry it, you can see when you stretch it, the gap is gonna become too big. All right, I'll dry the surface till you can barely see the reflection of the light. Okay, that's the stage I'm looking for. And then after that, I will start to stretch, putting some water inside the wall. And now you can no longer touch the outside, so your hand has to be very steady when you are stretching. Right, now I will start to push out from the inside. So this is my first stretch. Let me stop the wheel so you can see the surface start to split out. Stretch it, been stretching it, so it start to split. And you can see the slightly smaller crackle already. And once you stretch further, you will see the crackle surface become larger, become more clear. Okay, so this is my second stretch. Right, my third stretch. Right, so that is my fourth stretch. Now all I need to do is refine the shape, get it draw a little bit more volume, like munjar volume. So this will be my last stretch. And now all I care is the shape. So I'm doing fairly slow. And maybe stay on the same spot, maybe a little bit longer, so to find the right shape. Alright, so the shape looks good. Now I will take care of the rim to finish it up. And if you look at from the top, inside is clean, nice and clean. So I could work on the top. Bring my metal rib to smooth the shoulder further. I don't know if you can see it or not. I am bending my metal rib upward so that this part here doesn't hit the texture. I'm bending this part and using this part here to compress this part here. I'm making a lid jar, so I will measure the width of the opening. And here to remove the, not too much, just a little bit, excessive clay off the corner. Using my number 17, the wheel spinning counterclockwise. If you are spinning clockwise, you can use my number 18 to do that. Okay, the beauty of this bed system is that the bed is not taking too much room on your precious shelving space. And made of metal, so when you heat it up, you don't worry about bed being warped. And you can either wire it off or you can wire it off later. Usually I wire it off later. Like coming back when this part here is more firmer, I wire it off. But you can wire it off right away, okay, if you wanted to. Right now, I'm ready to make the lid. This is also another bed that is made of a very strong plastic. It's called FRP. They can also withstand the heat too. It's slightly cheaper than the aluminum one. If you have watched a lot of all my previous demonstration on the how I make a lid, you always can tell that when I'm centering, this lid is going to be upside down. I'm making the gallery and then trim the knob later. So since I'm trimming the knob, so this part here doesn't need to be very wide. Okay, it's slightly smaller, narrower. So I'm forming the shape like a doorknob. Okay, then the doorknob, you open the door, and then I drill a hole here, just a shallow hole. And slightly widen it. Make sure this part here on the side slightly thicker, so you will be able to squeeze your gallery, like the gallery here. You can squeeze it. But now I want to make sure that is the right size. So bring back my caliper. So this is good, right on the side of here. This is where I'm going to squeeze it. And for making the lid look nice, usually the inside you want to have slightly curved, so when you trim your lid, it's not very flat. Your lid is kind of like a curve that is fitting your whole piece. That way it looks better. So usually I am making the inside of the lid slightly curved. I think the thumb here, the curve of the thumb, it's fitting nicely, so usually I'm using that to kind of push. And then this part here, I am using my finger to pinch a gallery here. Right, this will be my gallery. Right, for the gallery part, you want to have a good rib. Some of the rib that they don't have a very nice sharp 90 degrees. They kind of have a curve here, especially those ones that I don't know why they cannot make it a sharp angle. But if you have that kind of rib, you can just simply use a sandpaper to sand it down. Sand it so that you will have a sharp 90 degrees. And this is my number 1 wooden rib. I have a set of rib that you can order from my Etsy shop or my Squarespace shop too. Let's measure it. So this part here needs to go in a little bit. So I am using this part here to slightly squeeze in so that the width of the gallery will be a bit smaller fitting. Well, now it's too big, too small, right? I'm squeezing too hard. That's okay. This is adjustable, so we'll just push your inside hand, pushing out. Okay, push it out. Now let's double check. Okay, now it's too wide, so I'm going to push just a little bit. Squeeze in just a little bit. Okay. Right, so this is perfect. Okay. And again, when I'm making a gallery, I kind of slightly taper. So meaning this part here, slightly smaller than this part. Okay, taper. It's easier for the lid to drop into the body. And then clean up, and clean up here. Right, so now inside is clean. Now we're gonna use this chamois to wrap around the edge. Right, if you wanted to, you can also use the same wet trimmer to trim it. Or you can use a wooden knife to trim it too. This tool is designed for trimming wet. Remove the corner clay off the skirt of the clay hanging. Clean up my bed. Again, you can wire it up now or later, doesn't matter. It's my own studio, so I could come back anytime I wanted to. The studio is in my backyard, but if you are using the public studio, you might want to wire it off now. Alright, so that is the lidded sodium silicate jar. Okay, I will trim it later. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.